So today I'll be speaking about my idea for an approach that fellow high school students can take to help our peers who are struggling with mental illness and with suicidal ideation. Um, but just a little bit of context. Next slide, please. I lost one of my really good friends, a pretty close friend named Jacob, during my freshman year um, of high school. He was one of the very first friends that I made in high school, and we had a very close relationship. I would sit with him every day at lunch. Um, he he just had kind of an aura about him that, like, even if you didn't know him very well, he could just always put a smile on your face. So we were really good friends. I think I laughed more with him that year than the rest of my freshman year, and he was just one of the most genuine people I knew. He was one of the most talented people I knew. We were in band together. He played the trumpet and I played the saxophone, so we really connected through music. And at a glance, you would never be able to tell the kind of internal battle that he was fighting. um and so and I've spoken with his family, I've spoken with my peers. That's a battle that he really hid. And so it took us all by surprise, and it had a really huge impact on me that year. It was a really difficult time for me to go through. But when I attended his memorial service and I heard the stories that people had with him, as well as sharing my story that I had with him, it kind of inspired me to then I wanted to do something in honor of him, in memory of him, just so people knew how much of an impact he had on my life, and kind of what I learned. So I found this song. Next slide, please. I found this song called "The Mystery of Your Gift" by Josh Groban. And the lyrics really spoke to me. Some of the lyrics include: "The echoes of your melody will always live in these walls, and the lessons that you gave to me, before you can fly, you must fall." It really hit hard for me. And since music was such a big way for me to express myself, and something that Jacob and I really had in common, I wanted to uh, honor him through this music. So I recorded I made a recording of a cover of this song, and I also did a music video with it in the school. And initially I was just planning on talking for like 20-30 seconds just about the impact he specifically had on my life, and and my specific story with him. But then I thought about how I could make it more meaningful, and um, how it could apply to just the general my peers and high school students as a whole. So I wanted to make it a kind of a message to release with it, that people could use, to then take and help other people that are struggling with the same battle that Jacob did. Just because of, I saw firsthand how much it impacted me. And so I wanted to kind of, because it's such a big problem. It's such a big problem for high schoolers, and just I wanted to raise awareness and give people a way, an easy way, to remember, that they could help someone in need of that. Next slide. I came up with this acronym called One Helps. It was actually a hashtag, so it was something that people could share throughout social media, to reach more students. And it was so touching to see all of the people that were sharing it and viewing my video, and just hearing how it was impacting people. But it's an acronym that stands for Hello, Empathy, Learn, Parents/Professional, and Save. The one in front of it kind of symbolizes that it only takes one person to make a big impact in another person's life. It can really, it takes only one person to save someone. is what I've learned. All right, next slide. So the first thing is hello, and something that I've learned is kind of the power and the impact that a simple hello can make on someone's life. I learned that ultimately, like it can really turn someone's day around, and if it becomes a consistent thing, it can turn someone's life around. Um, like I have established friendships now that started out as just saying hi in the hallway, and then evolved into hi, how are you, and then eventually we'd be having conversations on our way to class, and then those turned into friendships. So that can really 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 mean a lot to someone if they've always kind of been in isolation and felt like they didn't have anyone, or if they're going through a very difficult time and they feel like they have no one to turn to. Kind of that's the first step that someone can take for in being there for someone. All right, next slide. The next slide. The next letter stands for empathy. This is kind of a difficult idea I found for a lot of people to grasp because it's different than sympathy, um, in that sympathy is kind of just through words, kind of just having pity for someone. So if someone's coming to you with something really difficult and they're reaching out to you, it's kind of just, it's saying, oh, I'm sorry, or, I'm there for you. But really, a lot of the time I found that when people say that, they kind of just, it's more of an in the moment thing, and then they don't take it any further, and that can actually be more damaging to someone. So with empathy, it's really really making an effort to understand and acknowledge the thoughts and emotions they're going through, and then in this case actions really do speak so much louder than words. Following up and showing that you care about them, and making an effort to talk and listen to them, and maybe sit down, have a conversation with them. um, that can mean the whole world to someone. I've had so many conversations with people where, I by taking it further, you really really can understand kind of the depth of their situation. Okay, next slide. The L stands for learn. And this is both learn about the signs and the warning signs of suicidal ideation, of depression, whether that's they're skipping the activities that they love, or they're isolating themselves, they're feeling sad every day all of a sudden, or they're just not being themselves and it's concerning to you. Educating yourself on those kinds of signs, which we learn a little bit in the health class, but I think it needs to be a lot more stressed because a lot of the times it's very subtle, and people, it's easy to kind of take things that people say as a joke, and even if they say it as a joke, I've learned that it's really important to kind of follow up and check on them. It also means learn about them, and I'm not saying like it like interrogate them, like if you're talking to them for one of the first times, but kind of just like get to know them. And then as they start to open up to you, if you know that there's something going on with them, maybe sitting down with them, having a conversation about them, this is concerning me, are you okay? And learning about kind of maybe anything that might be going on in their life at home, or if there's something that's bothering them. I use the metaphor drowning to kind of encapsulate this idea that when someone is struggling with depression or suicidal ideation, they're not going to be able to be saved from that without anyone acknowledging and seeing that they're drowning, and reaching out to them. A lot of the times I've found people don't, when they're struggling with this and they know they need help, even if they know they need help, they don't reach. High school students don't really want to like reach out to others about these issues because it could, they're afraid of what other people will think of them, or they're afraid that it'll make them look weak, or they just don't want to go through kind of the whole process of getting better, and they're hopeless. So I found that being the first one to reach out to them and pull them out of the water, it's very important to be the one that reaches out to them, instead of kind of letting them be the one that needs to reach out to you, because that's if they're having to reach out to you, uh, it's not as effective, and they don't really see that you care about them as much as if you are the one initiating the conversations and asking them more about their situation. So it takes reaching out and pulling them out of that. Okay, next slide. And this next slide, I think, is the most difficult thing for teens to kind of, the most difficult step to take is the parents slash professional, and ultimately it's going to be easier to get them to talk to a professional, just because a lot of teens don't like opening up to they don't feel like they have the type of relationship with their parents that they could really open up about the emotions they're having. They or their parents maybe don't believe in therapy, or don't, or that kind of thing. So I've actually found out this year we have school psychologists, which is a really, that was a really good thing to hear. So encouraging them to maybe talk to a school psychologist, or if they feel uncomfortable with that, maybe a guidance counselor or a teacher or a coach, or just any trusted adult they trust. That could ultimately be the first step in them healing. And then as they start to be able to open up to adults more, maybe they can continue their journey with like a psychologist or a school counselor. But I found that parents do really play a vital role in treatment, and that if you're really concerned about someone's mental health and think that they could harm themselves, or they're seriously considering suicide, I found that it's worth it to just tell their parents, even if they're angry at you in the moment. They would probably appreciate it later on. It's very important to kind of go past what they would think of you telling their parents, and really just acknowledge that their parents are going to be the ones that can really get them help. And so that's very important. And they can also, the parents can also be they can take important steps to prevent also a possible suicide. They can lock up their guns, they can lock up the lethal means. And these are really important steps in just making sure that that they are safe, and making sure that they get help. And if they're on medication, the parents are the ones that are monitoring them, making sure that it's not making their symptoms worse, because I've found that actually with Jacob, he was taking medications and it was just making it worse. And I've had negative psychological side effects from medication as well. And so it's very important to keep the parents kind of in the loop with this, even if the student might not like it. But in the path of healing and getting better, they would start to appreciate it, I think. Okay, next slide. The S stands for save. So I really think a combination of all these things, usually if someone feels helpless, or if someone's on the verge of taking their own life, it's because they're missing one of these things. They don't have their parents in the loop trying to take care of them, or they feel like they don't have anyone trying to help them, or they don't have any friends, or no one's reaching out. So I really think these things could save someone's life, because it's really that feeling of loneliness that you have before you make the decision is what can be really impactful. So just it's all about, this whole message is about what people my age can do to help our peers, and being on the inside, kind of it's a different perspective than on the outside looking in. And that's what this is all about, is kind of it's putting it in context of everyday school life, and how you can help someone in that environment. Okay, thank you so much again.